Alrighty. Welcome to today's podcast. As always, it's just like catching up with a friend over a good cup of coffee. Car conversations about life. So grab your favorite coffee, settle in, and let's talk. Today I'm drinking an espresso caramel with oat milk from my favorite local coffee shop. Cheers! So today we're going to be talking about something that's about as common as a caffeine addiction: rejection. But here's the twist. I'm going to talk about how rejection is often the universe's way of nudging us in a different, maybe more exciting direction. So settle in, grab your coffee, take a sip, and let's get to talking. Rejection hits us hard. No matter if it's job applications, school, romance, no matter what. Rejection's in all phases of life, and it's not going away. So we're kind of forced to deal with it. Now, if you've never had to deal with it, good for you. I think most of us have been rejected at some point in our life, maybe more than once. And it sucks. It does. We build up these dreams, our goals, our ideas. We have a dream job, we give a love confession, whatever it is, when it doesn't quite pan out the way that we wanted it to. We're overwhelmed by these feelings of failure, of not being good enough. And these directly conflict with our human nature to want to be liked, to want to be accepted. We're all just human. And every time we're rejected, it feels so personal. Like a direct critique about yourself, about your worth as a person. I'm not smart enough for that school. I'm not creative enough for that job. That's our default knee-jerk reaction. I'm not good enough. But this isn't constructive in any way. This isn't helping you. Being stuck in this way of thinking, in this way of feeling, it's so detrimental. So how do we handle it? How do we avoid just that overwhelming feeling of not being good enough because someone told us no? Well, first, it depends on the type of rejection. Now, sometimes the rejection comes from factors outside of your control, or that simply have nothing to do with you. Someone didn't show up to work that day on time. Someone put your application in the wrong file. You didn't enter your email correctly, so they can't communicate with you. Those are things that happen that result in a rejection that's not in your control. It's not supposed to be personal. It's not an attack on you. It's just what happened. Now, I recently went through applying to PA school, which is a graduate medical program, if you don't know what it is. And an advisor of mine gave me some advice. Now, it's really silly. But if you contemplate it a little bit, if you let me explain to you the deeper meaning, it's really helped me deal with this rejection. The saying is, giants act like giants, and dwarfs act like dwarfs. Now that's really, really silly, but hear me out. So giants in the situation of my graduate school application are schools with a well-known name, with an established reputation, and they act exactly as they present. So I applied to a school, a giant, and within 1 month, I was offered an interview, and within 1 week of that interview, I was accepted. Now that is giant behavior. That is doing exactly as you present. That is acting like you are the entity that you're saying you are. You do have the systems in place to back up your claims. Now for the dwarfs. So no matter how hard a dwarf will try to convince you that it's a giant, its actions will always tell the truth. So I applied to another school who I thought was a giant. They have an equally powerful name, they have a well-known reputation, they're a big school. But I was ghosted by them completely. 7 months after I applied, I've heard nothing about my application. Now, I'm not saying I deserved an interview. I'm not saying that I should have gotten into that school. Nothing like that. But the process of them dragging this out for 7 months of sitting on my application, not telling me yes or no, made me feel like I was not good enough. They were just waiting for someone better to come along. What I'm saying is that I deserved a swift process. I deserved a rejection. To have them sitting on my application, considering me, but waiting for someone better to come along, made me feel like I was not good enough. And to me, I don't know if this is just me, but that's worse than just a straight up rejection. Like, just tell me no so I can move on. But to be sitting on it for so long was a reflection on them more than it should have been on me. If they had rejected me straight up, if they'd given me a chance or told me my place or anything like that, I'd have a lot more respect for them. So through their actions, they were showing me who they were. They weren't telling me anything about who I am. Maybe I didn't have enough hours to get into that second school. Maybe I didn't write a good enough essay. No matter what it is, I still deserved to be told no. That wasn't grandma. This process is something more out of my control, whether it be their admissions process is inefficient, they misplaced my application, my email was wrong, whatever happened, that situation was out of my control. Not getting an answer is an assumed rejection, but it wasn't in my control. It was completely in the hands of them. But sometimes rejection comes from factors that you can control. I prefer this type of rejection. Give me a reason. You can tell me no and give me a reason. I'm a logical person. I rely on logic to deal with a lot of my emotional situations. Maybe that's not the healthiest sometimes, so who cares? So if you were going to reject me, tell me why. It can be anything. You don't like my name. You didn't like where I worked. Whatever it is that they put my application in the no pile, that's fine. As long as you have a reason, and it's not that you just didn't want to look at my application, that you got too many applications and I wasn't worth your time. Whatever it is, like, give me a reason. Tell me why. And I'll deal with it. So that gave me some comfort, knowing that this situation was out of my control. That they were just a dwarf doing their little dwarf thing, sitting on my application, dragging their feet, not having proper staffing, losing my application. Whatever happened, it was a reflection on them and it wasn't a reflection on me. The situation, this rejection, was out of my control. And so there's nothing that I could do about it. Coffee break. Now, if you do have control in a rejection, it still hurts. It sucks to be told that you didn't write a good enough essay. It sucks to be told that you haven't worked hard enough or long enough or any of that. It's not fun. But it presents itself as an opportunity. When rejection is for reasons within your control, it presents itself as an opportunity. You have lost nothing. You have gained a chance to improve yourself. I've never really liked the term constructive criticism, but I admire the concept behind it. That sometimes you do need to be told you need to be better. That you can't just be told lies after lies, you're great, you're perfect. But if you view rejection when it's within your control as an opportunity, you have lost nothing. You have only gained something. So the worst that anybody can say when you put yourself out there, when you apply to that program, when you apply to that job, when you put your heart on the line, any of that, is no. And when someone says no, nothing changes. You're exactly where you were. But if you start viewing rejection for reasons within your control as an opportunity, you've actually gained something. You're now better off for taking that chance. Yeah, they said no, and yeah, being told no isn't fun. But if you're able to see that you've just gained an opportunity, you've lost nothing. The worst someone can say is no. That's it. And once you take the power out of that no, you become unstoppable. As a chronic people pleaser myself, someone saying no makes me feel embarrassed, but why should I be? So, a few things that I'm working on are confidence in my decisions and not caring about other people's opinions. I could probably do an entire rant about that, and probably will. But back to this specifically. The lack of confidence in my application or caring too much about what some random admissions officer who I will never meet thinks of me didn't help my application process at all. It did not help me mentally. It did not help me physically. So why was I doing it? I applied to a very long shot of a school. And I told everyone, it's just for fun. Who cares? Like, I probably won't get in. But sure enough, I got in. And I remember every word of that acceptance phone call. And I remember all of the celebratory texts and calls that came after that. The first person I had told was my coworker. I got the call on my lunch break. And so I ran up to her and I whispered, I said, I got into the school. And we quickly moved to the back and we jumped and we squealed and we celebrated. And it's honestly one of my favorite little memories. It just makes me so happy to think about. The memory of that accomplishment, of that sense of pride, that little celebration I had would never have been mine if I had thought it was too much of a risk to apply. My mindset of what do I have to lose gained me everything. And having the confidence to apply last year was a huge step for me. And I wish that I didn't go around telling everyone, I won't get in. It's just for fun. Who cares? I wish I was more confident about it. I applied to this school and I'm going to get in. I'm going to go to this school. I wish I had more confidence behind it, but I am proud that I had the confidence to at least apply, that I changed my mindset from the past, and that I took that long shot. Because turns out it wasn't that long of a shot. And if I hadn't applied, I wouldn't be on the path that I am today. But if they had told me no, I would still be better off. If they told me, no, you need more hours, I'd think, okay, I need to work a little bit longer before I'm ready for this program. If they had given me a rejection, then I would have gained an opportunity. I would have been better off than if I'd never applied at all. And I keep thinking about that through this whole process. My long shot dream school is now my reality because I decided that the worst they could say is no. And I took the power out of that no. I wasn't scared of that rejection. I wasn't scared of receiving that news that I wasn't good enough for them. Because so what? If I wasn't good enough for them, I'd go somewhere else where I was. But I had the confidence to apply simply because I took the power out of the no. And even starting this podcast and talking right here in my car in this very public parking lot very early in the morning, what do I have to lose by doing this? What if one person hears this and they decide to apply to their dream school and they get in? I could easily fear rejection in filming this and posting this. But what do I have to lose? Why should I care about the opinions of strangers on the internet? And if I do know you and you're listening to this, hi, awkward, but hello. If I post this and it doesn't take off, if I post this and only one person hears it, I'm still in a better place. This talking aloud to myself, it helps me process my thoughts, handle my emotions. So, filming this, talking this right now, I'm gaining something from it. And if one person does hear it, then that's one person that I've been talking to versus if I'd never filmed it at all. So what do I have to lose? When you take the power out of that no, you simply become unstoppable. There's no other way to see it. Regardless if the rejection was within your control or not, rejection is always redirection. There are parts of the process that will be annoying, things you will regret, things that you just wish were different, things that make you angry, all of that. But things truly do happen for a reason. So the school that never got back to me, I was really angry about it for a while. And I wrote out an email, and I was using some choice words. But as I was composing my thoughts, I came to the conclusion that their actions landed me exactly where I was supposed to be. I wanted to go to this school so badly at one point. I think I was telling people that that's where I was gonna go. It was my dream school, whatever it was. I was so confident that I wanted to be at this school, only for them to show me their true colors and made me realize I didn't belong there. If they had gotten their act together, maybe they didn't lose my application, maybe they decided I was a strong candidate, whatever. If something had changed and they'd offered me an interview before the school, that first school, then I don't know where I would be. I wouldn't be going to the school that is the absolute perfect right fit for me. Who knows what would have happened? So the last line of that email was, I thank you for your redirection to the right fit. Originally, it was a lot harsher than that, but I decided to calm down my emotions, to calm down my rage, and see that this was actually a good thing. That their rejection was a benefit to me. Again, rejection is always an opportunity. Rejection is redirection. It allowed me to focus my time and my energy back on that first school, back on the school that I ended up accepting and that I will be so happy at. Now, sometimes with rejection, you have regret. I do regret applying to that school because I wasted my money and my time. I wrote like 5 essays for this school, 5 long character essays. And it was tedious, it was expensive, and I gained absolutely nothing from the process. But when you look at it that way, I kind of realized that that's not true. That writing those essays, spending the time for that school that I did, allowed me to write the essay that I did to be accepted into my first school when I did. Okay, that's a little confusing, but let me explain. So I wrote to the dwarf school, I wrote a bunch of essays prior. And then to the giant school, I applied later and I wrote those essays at a different time. If I hadn't applied to the dwarf school at first, maybe I would have written those giant essays on a different day. And maybe they would not have been good enough. Maybe they wouldn't have said what I wanted them to say. And maybe I would have been rejected from that school. I would have been declined or whatever. So even though I'm angry, I wrote all of those essays and then I spent all of that stupid time on it, it still led me in the right direction. It allowed me to do what I was supposed to do to end up where I was supposed to. So I've dissolved a lot of my rage against this rejection simply because I've come to terms with I am where I'm supposed to be. This rejection was an opportunity. It was an opportunity to find the right place for me, and there's nothing better than that. That's the best kind of opportunity, to find something better. So, if you take anything from our coffee chat here today, let it be to lean into that rejection. Rejection is redirection, and take the power out of their no. Until next time, happy sipping.